view of College Scheduler, Schedule Assistant, which is the registration tool students will be using to sign up for their classes as they go through orientation. So we've invited Heidi in as our special guest for today to kind of help us navigate the system and just kind of get an overview of how that registration process works for students. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, can you all see the
Yes.
student homepage now? Okay, great. So I'm just going to start us off just by kind of walking through kind of the navigation path for the student. You students will log in, of course, into my.fsu.edu, and then they'll go into their portal page and go into Student Central. Once they are in there, that will take them to their student homepage, which is what you're seeing on the screen right now. Just to give you a heads up for this training, we are in a test environment. So this isn't the live production site that we would normally use. But the information here is the same. It's the same view of the student homepage. And the students, they will go to their My Classes tile down here at the bottom in the center. And then over in the navigation collection over here to the left-hand side, they will have a link for Schedule Assistant. And all they would do is click on that. It will take them to this kind of landing page here. And there is a link right here that says Open Schedule Assistant. And they will click on that to actually open the platform and go into it. It is important that they have their pop-up blocker turned off because it does open in a new tab. So if you have a student and they saying it's not opening, it's probably because of the pop-up blocker. And they will then be asked to select the terms, and summer and fall registration is both open right now. For the purposes of this training, we are going to do a fall 21 demo. And now that we are in the platform, I'm going to turn it over to Heidi.
All right. Well, when a student first enters the platform, I'll kind of give you kind of a rundown of what this home page looks like, top to bottom. So starting at the top, there are three kind of main stages that the student's going to go through. They're going to start out in this plan schedule stage, which is essentially step one. They're going to find their courses. They're going to generate schedules. They're going to find one that they like, and they're going to send it to the shopping cart, essentially step two. Very much like Amazon, you're browsing around, you find what you want, you put it in your shopping cart. Just like then, when you go to checkout, they will essentially push a register button and they'll be sent them to step three, which is their current schedule. So when it all said and done, they'll end up on that current schedule tab with courses that they are officially registered for. And then we'll show you a couple other things that they can do on that final step. Like if they have to drop a class or if they want to swap a class, they can also do it within this same platform. So scooting down a little bit are the filters. The filters come in with some default settings, like that first one is course status for open classes only. It'll come in as open, but if there's any reason why a student just wants to browse around and see which one's available, they can always choose open and full, but today we'll just do open. Campuses will be, for a student's preference, depending on where they live or what they're working on. They'll probably have a preference on which campus is closest to them or fitting their needs. For today, we're going to do a Tallahassee campus. So we're going to be a student pretending to go to Tallahassee campus, and we're going to save that. Academic careers is also a potential choice. If there was specific, graduate law medical students, they can only search courses by those academic careers, and it would cut out all the other stuff. So it really makes it easy for those specific ones. Today, we're going to be an undergraduate student. So to help me search for classes, I'm just going to look at undergraduate classes. The term is the next one. We did already pick fall, but if there's any reason why we needed to switch back and forth, we could. The nice thing about it is that it saves whatever courses that you've added to essentially this view. It saves it per term. So if summer and fall were open at the same time and you're planning some summer and you're planning some fall, you wouldn't have to worry about losing any of the work that you've done. I'll also say that there's the session. So the sessions we'll be able to, again, narrow down the courses that we will be able to select from the add course stage, the next step. If there's something specific, again, you can find it, but for today, we're going to go for the regular. I'll pause here at the filters to say, feel free to ask questions, or if you want to put them in the chat, I have the chat screen open as well, and I will be reading that. If I'm just talking too much and you can't squeeze it in, go ahead and feel free to drop it in the chat too. All right, so with that, we got our filters set. We're going to go to the add course step. So when we add course, there's multiple ways to add a course, denoted by the little tabs at the top. We're on the subject tab right now, so we can add in a couple classes today by subject. It is typable. It is also scrollable, depending on the preference of the student. So we're going to add a first one of the MGF. And then we're going to go for the 1107. So we know we needed this math class. When we have this quick description and there's an add course button there on the bottom. What this does, it kind of sends it to what I call a bucket. The bucket there on the left is that we're going to put all these courses into a bucket, and then we're going to generate schedules from that bucket and from that group. So let's add another subject course. Let's do an econ ECO, and let's do another undergraduate level. Let's do 2013. Quick description, add course. As we work our way through the tabs, we just wanted to point out some others. The next tab over is a freshman interest group. We won't be using one today, but for the students who were interested in this, there's going to be many more groups. There's just one here in this test environment just for testing purposes, but there'll be lots here if a student wants to use that prepackaged group of courses. The My Planner tab is also available, but it won't be really used for those undergrad students. So again, you can redirect or ignore the My Planner tab. And let's do by physical location. So by physical location is essentially an attribute setting. So we're going to do an attribute by physical location. Attribute is really just a fancy name for a tag. It's what people like. If PeopleSoft had to organize some classes with tags, they're essentially call them attributes. So with that attribute, there is some different kinds. Again, we're going to go with the Tallahassee main one for today. From there, we will have now filtered down all the subjects that have that attribute and have that value. So it's kind of like a secondary filter or a secondary search through all the tabs. For here, we'll add an ENC subject. And then we're going to go for 2135. So again, an English composition by physical location in Tallahassee. So I have my math, I have my econ, we have an English, a good rounded out base of freshman courses. Last tab will be a biliberal studies, which is also a type of attribute filter, a type of tagging filter. So for this example, this one's really helpful for when a student's trying to find a specific general ed class. So if they needed a specific general ed science or general ed history, general ed communications, this can actually help narrow down by showing them what courses fit those certain attributes and fit those certain sections that they're trying to check off. So for this first one, let's do a general education attribute. But we also want to do, we know we need a state mandating writing attribute. So we can actually put two attributes in there to help narrow down the courses that are available. So we want a general education, we want a writing, but we also know that we need a history. So general education history. What this does is now checking off the history box, and it's checking off the state mandated writing box. So we are getting multiple things checked off with one course by using this attribute search, this tag search. Again, all the subjects will show that now fit these certain attributes, but we want to add an AMH today, American History. And we're going to go for 2097. So with that, we're going to add that course to our bucket, and I think we're good to go. So for now, we're done. So we can push the done button. We're done with this step. And it'll take us back to the add course screen, or to the home screen, excuse me. So we just kind of did that area on the right. We just added our courses to that course bucket. And the next step would be to generate schedules. It's going to take into account all the sections of all those courses and find all the potential conflict-free schedules. So keynote being is that it'll never show the student a potential schedule that doesn't work. It'll always be a conflict-free schedule. That being said, with all of these potential sections, there could be a lot. There could be a lot of schedules. 1,000 schedules is sometimes overwhelming, so we will definitely show you some ways to narrow that down. The first way to do it is by selecting certain sections. Between the conversations with you and the student, you'll find out that maybe we should be excluding some honors or some reserve cap sections, or exclude some honors sections, whatever the case may be. If you click on that sections button, for English, we are going to go through and we're going to exclude the reserve caps. Because as a student, I know that I'm not part of those reserve cap groups. So I'm going to remove the reserve caps from my search results, just so I'm given all the options that I can sign up for. Another thing to note on this screen when Scott is helping us click these off is that little eye, that little blue eye, wherever you see that will be information. So in this screen or any of the following screens, if more information is needed about that course, if you click on that little blue eye, it will drop down. So we're going to remove our reserve caps, and then we're going to save and close. When we do this, we click that generate schedules button, and we'll probably remove some of those options. We can also remove schedule options by adding breaks. Breaks is probably my favorite feature. It's my favorite functionality of the tool because it tells the schedule assistant when not to schedule classes. And this is a really interesting concept because 75% of students today, and that was a pre-COVID statistic, so it could even be higher, have obligations outside of school. So we have work, we have kids, we have family, we have, help take care of grandma. We have built-in study breaks. There's a lot of different, external obligations that we want the students to be able to fulfill and to able to still be comfortable, taking those 15 credits and having time to fulfill these other obligations in their life. The goal of Schedule Assistant and of College Scheduler is to balance learning with life. So this feature really brings that to light. So for now, let's do a work break or work schedule. We'll go, let's say, a coffee job. I work from 8 to 10 as a barista because I need my coffee. 8 to 10, Monday, Wednesday. So I know I'm going to have to pop in to go to work. When I add in this break, it is now on that right-hand side of the screen for that break. So taking into account the breaks, taking into account the courses in the specific sections that we excluded, we generate schedules. There is a little warning there that tells you to regenerate. And we have dropped down to 612. So
Go do your thing. I'll do yours. We'll talk later.
definitely not as much as that 1,000. And there's other ways to keep narrowing those options down. For now, let's look at schedule number 1. We click on that view option and it will take us to this potential schedule. Again, a couple things to note on this page, working our way from top to bottom. The first one to note is on that left-hand side of the screen is the email button. The email button, if you click it, if you clicked it or the student clicked it, it's essentially just going to email this screen, this grid of potential courses. I see a lot of students emailing it to, you know, mom and dad and employers and other individuals in their life that may need to know what their course is, their schedules are. So that's what the email button does. Kind of working our way over to the right, there is a favorite button or a little heart. What this does, it'll save this schedule. So as a student and for today, I'm looking at schedule number 1, like this is my favorite. Like, okay, this is the favorite. This is the one I'm going to try to register for. So let's save it as favorite. When I do this, it will save this schedule for just in case I want to go back to it later. And I'll kind of show you where we can go back to it later as well. A couple other things on this screen just to note is that, so we have this potential schedule view. A few other helpful features is that little lock icon. What that little lock icon does is that it locks in that particular section. So if you're looking through here and there's the, you know, this one econ is a great time of day and it's the one you really, really want. If you clicked that lock icon, it would narrow down your search results even more to only show schedules that had that one particular section. So very helpful as well to narrow down the number of results. So if you scroll down just a little bit farther, this is what I call like a weekly view. It's usually the student's favorite view because they can actually see what time of day that they are showing up where. So we have this, you know, Monday, Wednesday schedule that also has our work schedule listed. So again, a visual representation of our work and all of those classes. There's that little blue eye that I pointed out earlier. You can always click on the little blue eye for information. So wherever that eye is listed, you can click it, and also the lock button. If you're looking from this view and you're like, oh yeah, this is a really good American history class, this is the one I want, you can also lock this in as well. So just little features from this page. Looks like there was some interest about the favorite button. So I'm glad we were able to share something new today. The favorite button, super helpful. I'll give you another use case for that is when Scott clicks back, he'll show you kind of where that favorite button lives. We kind of go back to this home screen. There's now a favorites tab right here in the schedule area. So if we click on here, the favorite number 1 is saved. A really good use case though, is that if you're going through different courses, let's say this is a mixture of, you know, American history, econ, English, and math. If there was a different history, there was a different econ, there was a different math, they all, you know, checked the same boxes. The student just was looking for, you know, flexibility and differences. You could save this particular schedule with these 4 classes. You could go back, find 4 different classes and favorite that schedule, and it would show up here. So it really cuts down the time of looking through different alternatives by saving those courses within a particular schedule here within the favorite button, and without having to go back and find those courses all over again. You're like, oh, I want to go to the one two back. I really like the one 2 schedules ago that had the American History 2097. So just something to think about too, that you can save, you can favorite multiple schedules. Heather, is there a way to eliminate all the reserved cap sections at once? It's a great question. They are individually unclicked. It is a good call out though, and a piece of feedback that I've received from a few campuses. So I'm taking it back to our team, and we'll let you know if we make any progress on that in the future. But for now, it is just unclicking those reserved cap sections individually. Yeah, good question. All right. So back to our home screen, we have our schedules. If we go back to our favorite schedule, that's the one we want to try to register for. Like, this is it. Okay. So we click that view favorite schedule, and it will take us back to that view schedule page. So from here, if we are ready to go and this is it, we want to send it to our shopping cart. So we can go send it to the shopping cart, and it'll take us to that step 2. So we've done with step 1, we've added our courses, we've added our breaks, we've generated potential schedules, and we found one schedule that we want to send to the shopping cart. So here we are in the send to shopping cart. You can always edit the cart from this page as well. If you know at this point you wanted to remove a class from a shopping cart, you could do so. For now, let's say we are a student and our registration window is now open. We are ready to hit that register button. So there's where that register button lives. We're like, are you sure? Like, yep, I'm sure. This is it. So for today, we are going to see some success and some failure just to show you what both options look like. So this particular student should have 3 successes and 1 failure. So that's perfect. So we can see that our registration results still are denoted. 1 failure doesn't stop all the rest from being successful. So we were successful in our math and our English and our history. So this class has been added to your schedule. That looks great. Our econ though, our econ we weren't able to register for. You are unable to enroll for this class because it has a reserved capacity. We don't meet that requirements. Okay, good to know. So with that, if we click OK, our current schedule here now shows the 3 classes, math, having a lab and a lecture, the 3 classes that we were successful for. The class that we weren't successful for will still be in our shopping cart because it didn't make it to that final stage. It didn't make it to that current schedule final step. So for here, we can edit the cart and we can get rid of this section of econ because we know we're not going to be able to send it to the final stage. So we remove it from our cart, we can save it. If we go back to the plan schedule stage and we kind of click on that sections for econ, just as we did earlier, we know we couldn't do number 5. That's the one we just took out, section 5. So if we unclick that, our other 2 sections are available. So let's save and continue. And then we can go down to the, oh yes, we're gonna include econ again. When we click generate schedule, this is helpful in multiple scenarios. It'll take into account the current schedule and the course we are trying to add. So in this case, we're trying to add back in an econ that has a section that fits. Maybe you just have a full schedule, you know, nothing failed, but the student wants to try to squeeze in one more class, kind of get really to that 15 limit. It will always take into account what they're currently scheduled for. So using scheduling assistant, even after the fact, will still generate conflict-free schedules. So an important thing to note. With this example, we added in the econ with those sections that were not reserved. We regenerated, and there should be 1 schedule that works. So when we click on the view schedule, we now have our potential schedule screen, one column, one visual difference is this status column, which is that first column on the left. It'll say enrolled, not enrolled, 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 enrolled. So that's kind of a good visual indicator on which one that we are adding as well, is that we are going to be adding the one that we are not enrolled for, which is that section 4 of econ. So with that, excuse me, if we send this to the shopping cart, it's going to send that one econ class that we are not enrolled for. Okay, this looks good. This is the one I want to register for. If I click register, we should see a success. All right, got that green check mark of success, which is perfect. So we are now on that final step, the current schedule step. Here are the 4 courses, 5 listed because math has a lab and a lecture. So here are those 5 obligations that we're now currently registered for. So my current schedule for fall 2021. From here, again, pointing out that edit drop. So if you needed to edit or drop a class, you can still do it within the schedule assistant. That drop action would just be clicked and saved. For today, we do want to show what a swap looks like. So a swap is swapping out one course for another, or one section for another, depending on what the student's going for. For here, let's swap out the ENC. So we can see that it's grabbing a class from the current schedule. So it knows which ones that we are trying to swap for, you know, what we're currently signed up for, and we want to find something new to replace it with. So to replace it with, we want to go back to the subject, because we know we want another ENC. We know we want another ENC course. If I happen to know the exact class number, or if it was already in my shopping cart, there's another ways to do that as well. But for ENC 2135, we want to select, let's say, the section that we wanted was 86 in this case, or 0086. Maybe that's a particular section that would be better suited for me because of time of day or instructor or day of the week. So if I click on that 86 section and I click swap, it will essentially take out that one course from my current schedule and swap it out with this course and section as well. So we will swap these. And then it will have success. So again, that green check mark of success. Scroll back up, we're on that current schedule and we see that our ENC is now section 0086. So we swapped out one of our sections for this one. From here, the student is done. They have added courses, they have sent it to the shopping cart. If there's any, you know, any reconsiderations about if they wanted this course versus that one, they can always drop and add, or they can swap. All of those actions can be formed within the scheduling assistant. So there shouldn't be anything that they need from a schedule perspective that they would need to go back into PeopleSoft. Any questions? Any other thoughts or comments? You can see that there's a couple other links at the top, a degree map link and a help link. So both options that could be helpful. Swap feature is awesome. I think so too. I think the swap feature is pretty cool. It definitely saves a lot of clicks. Again, the goal of a lot of platforms is to kind of make it as streamlined as possible. So the swap feature is definitely has really improved the student experience. They don't have to go through all the steps of dropping and then all the way go back to the beginning to add in another one. They can switch it out. Allison, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, I wanted to double check. So students can't, once they enroll in their first math or first English course, it automatically blocks them from dropping that from their schedule and they have to work with a staff member. But the swap feature will let them just swap it for another math or English, right? That's a.
My understanding is yes, but
Okay.
maybe Scott can confirm.
Yeah, that's right. We
Okay.
worked with ITS, Matt Keelan and ITS worked with Civitas to make sure that the swap functionality in Schedule Assistant mimicked exactly what is in PeopleSoft. So it would be the
Excellent.
same.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Awesome. Thank you for that clarification, Allison.
That was
Yes.
part of our testing to make sure that it was working exactly as we wanted it.
Perfect. Yeah, we definitely try to replicate all the actions of PeopleSoft, so there's no missed functionality. So thank you for that clarification, Allison. Lisa, does the swap work only for a different section of the same course, or can it work for any other course, like from an ENC to a HUM? It would work for another course as well.
I think the only time it might cause a restriction is if you were dropping an English or a math for something that was not English or math.
Correct.
Just because
Yes.
of that restriction that we have at FSU that you cannot drop a freshman English or math course. So if you're trying to swap from English into history, you may get an error message in that case because the English course can't be dropped.
Perfect. Yes. But if it was a history for humanities, just because you were switching up something in your, general ed area, then that would be fine. Yep, that'd be fine as well. Shell, could you show how to look for a course by academic organization? Was that one of the original filters on the first screen? We can check that out. So academic organization, did you have a specific example, Shell? There's academic careers, there's sessions.
I think what she's probably referring to is in the PeopleSoft class search, there was an option to search by academic org, academic organization, which is the academic department that owns the course.
Okay.
Rather than the subject. There are some departments like psychology and communications where they have courses spread out. They have multiple subjects within one department.
Got it.
And I'm assuming that kind of search is what she's asking. She can correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay, she gave an example of criminology, which is CR. So kind of going off of what Scott said is that if there was an academic organization with multiple subjects included within it, I don't think we have the ability to search for that from your PeopleSoft. We would be able to do this by subject. So if there's a certain subject, we can see all the potential courses listed under that subject. But if it was a department that had, biology, chemistry, and the anthropology all listed within one academic organization, I don't think we have a filter that would search all those three. But if it was
the issue with us is CCJ is used by multiple groups and they won't count for our degree unless it's from our group, from our academic organization.
Okay. Is there a specific attribute that is ever listed with that academic organization?
No. As far as I know, I've only been over there a month, but as far as I know, it's just by academic organization that we tell the students to search, not, but when they go in, they always do CCJ, and then there's public safety classes. There's classes at Panama City they can't get to, that they shouldn't be in. So.
Okay. Scott, try going to that the liberal studies tab. So if we click on those attributes, those will all be the ones that write diversity, oral communication, scholarship. Okay.
Yeah, I think she's talking about courses that probably aren't within liberal studies.
Okay.
I think that might I mean, my assumption right now is that the best way to probably address that would just be within the notes themselves. And kind of at the section level, do that review there and just have some kind of a note in the comment about which ones would be for criminology majors.
So this one's notes, it's on the right-hand side. This section is for non-criminology majors only.
Yeah, and it looks
So-
like there already is some kind of notation there already. So probably checking the notes is probably going to be the best guidance for the student for that for now.
Yeah. And that is true across multiple subjects, as I've seen those notes be populated with a lot of really good information such as that. So that's a good example for multiple subjects.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. It's a good question. Let's see, are we able to search by department? If that was ever added, that would be great. Okay, definitely really good feedback. Students like the search by department is similar to the search by academic organization, seems to be in the same thread. So it's definitely good to know. I work with the FSU team pretty often, so it's something that I can look into. All right, great questions. If anything comes to mind at a later date, you can definitely route it to your manager or to Scott or to Samuel, and they can definitely get it to me, and I would love to help and love to provide any assistance and make this make this work as best as I can for you guys.
Thank you, Heidi. Yeah, and any questions that come up later on about the platform at all, you can certainly send my way. If it's something I can't answer, then I can touch base with Heidi and follow up, and then we can get back to you.
Wonderful. All right. Well, with that, I don't mind staying on for a couple more minutes, just in case anyone wants to ask questions. But other than that, you are very welcome. Appreciate all the kind words in the chat, and I hope you guys have a wonderful Wednesday.
Great. Thank you, Heidi.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, well, I think we can leave and go back to the normal one. Thank you, Heidi. Bye.
You're welcome. Goodbye.
All right, if there are no other questions, I'm gonna go ahead and close the meeting. You guys have a great rest of your day.
Awesome. Thank you, Samuel. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.